Here's a story we've been covering since yesterday. The International Labour Organization says 7 out of 10 children are working for their families globally. This emerged at the first day of the 5th Global Conference on the Elimination of Child Labour in Durban, Kwazulu-Natal. At least 2,000 delegates from over 180 countries attending the conference. Bongani Gema has been covering the story. Bongani, what's the latest from where you are?
Delegates are now trickling in. As you know, there's 12:30. We begin the first high-level panel, so more and more delegates are now coming in. Desiree, just in the next few seconds, I'll bring you, Desiree, a guest, Lucky Agbavo, who is a survivor of child labor, originally from Ghana. He resides in Ghana. He'll tell us the story, how he ended up a child laborer, Desiree, because researchers say that in 2019, in countries like Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana, there were over 1.56 million children who were still laborers working in cocoa plantation. Lucky, welcome to the SABC. At the age of 4, you say you were already a child laborer. Just tell us how you ended up working at such a young age.
Thanks for having me here. In 2001, when I was 4 years old, my mother, because the livelihood wasn't that fine, she gave me out to her uncle. And he took me to a very remote village called Akosombo, a fish farming community, where I was introduced into fish farming. So for several months, I've been on the river, going on the river with my grandfather without being in school. Yes, so it got to a point when one day he asked me to go with his son. He's called Charles. So we went, and then Charles entered the river to check on the fishing nets, and I was left alone on the canoe. Within the twinkle of an eye, I became so drowsy. I became so disoriented to the environment because I was a little boy, and eventually I fell into the river. However he managed to pull me out, I do not know, but he came home to narrate that indeed I fell in, and he managed to resuscitate me and then sent me home. So when my mother heard about the issue, she became very afraid. So she decided to evacuate me from that place. So I went to another community.
Your mother decided to evacuate you from that place, but had she at the first place consented to you being a child laborer?
The issue is she considers her status, her current livelihood at that time, because there wasn't no one sponsoring. Even before my birth, my father has disowned her. Yes, immediately she got pregnant. My father said she should go. Either she should abort me or she should go away out of his sight. So she capitalized on those things. She had no option then, because she thought that person would help me. That's why she pushed me to them.
Off air, you were telling me that you worked in a river, you worked in the household, you also work on the plantation. Just take us through the kind of work that you were doing.
Great. So on the farm, obviously Ghana is known to be one of the leading cocoa producing countries in the world. So on daily basis, you find yourself on the cocoa farm. Though where I was, my grandpa introduced me to school, but it wasn't the quality one. You live in a school where when it's cloudy, it want to rain, they have to close down so that everyone goes home because the rooftops are leaking. A school when a whole lot of things wasn't that fine with the school. But then you go to school, you come home, and then they take you to the farm. At the age of 7, 9, 10 years, I was still on the cocoa farm schooling alongside. It wasn't so easy for me. Sometimes it affects your academic performance. How you really wanted to achieve it, you don't get it that way. So it was a very tough moment, but we managed through, and then we were able to write our basic education. So after my basic education in 2012, that was when my grandpa said he has done enough. So he's taking me back to my mother. And then I was 15 years old. I came to mother did not have anything, so I still have to venture into personal hard labor. Yeah, so the child labor, sometimes it comes in so many forms. It could be influenced by somebody, or sometimes you influence yourself, you indulge it in yourself because there was no option. So I had to sell ice cream. We call it yogurt popularly in Ghana. So I have to sell ice cream. I have to sometimes sell pure water. sachet water in the sachet bag. You sell it on the borderlines and then at barriers to earn something for yourself and then to take good care of yourself. So I sent myself to high school. I took myself to high school education from Form 1, Form 2, Form 3. I took care of myself until my final exams, when the church that I'm fellowshipping with, the Church of Pentecost, they paid my examination registration fee because I was general science student. So they paid for my, it was very expensive then to write exams in the Form 3 as a SHS student. So my church paid the money and eventually they paid for my scholarship to the university as well.
Now, this whole experience that you've just outlined for us now, how has it impacted the way you see your role, in the world now?
Great, because I started education very early. By now I could have been someone who is renowned on the medical field because that's my passion. It lies and also journalism. So I have two passions, journalism and health. But then because of child labor, because there was no one to help, it delays me. I had to imagine staying home 4 years after writing your basic education certificate examination. I had to toil and then get money for myself. So that, I think my period of achieving what I really want to achieve in life has been elapsed. Yeah, but I understand delays are not denials. Today, here I am today sharing my story to the world. So I think there are a lot of potentials in young ones. When given the opportunity, they can explore. So it's time we end child labor, and it's now.
Okay. Lucky Akbavo, the survivor of child labor in Ghana, saying that he started working at the age of 4, but luckily for him, he managed to survive after, almost drowning while working in a farm. So today, he's using his experience, to change people the way that they see child labor and to ensure that child labor is indeed abolished in the world.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bongani, thanks for continuing to bring these stories to our attention.